Hey, Brent Porcio, Kevin Schultz, Stephen Godina here, topvelocity.net. And this is the @topvelocity hashtags pitch and tips show, where you can go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can even go to Google Plus probably, and put @topvelocity hashtag pitching tips and ask your question. We're going to answer it here on the show like we're going to do right now. So what question we got today?
Shane Minnick asks, should I ice my arm after pitching? If not, what should I be doing? And Julio Velez asked, is icing your arm post-pitching good or bad?
All right, that's a good question on icing or cryotherapy. What's it called? I don't know. That's the official, what is it? Cryotherapy. That's the official term of icing. So we're all going to have an answer here. Everybody's different really when it comes to this topic. Now, I've done a lot of research on it. I'll post actually an article to some of my research on it and found that there's many studies on the effects of icing for healing the arm or healing the body, healing the muscle. And what I've found is there's more saying that there's really a positive effect than they're saying a negative effect. I think I might have found one that might have said there was a negative. So there was actually more positives. There wasn't a lot of research saying positives. There was a lot of research saying inconclusive. I'm really not sure. But so I'll speak personally. In me post-surgery, it was necessary that I iced. I tried it without it, and I would stay inflamed for so long that I never healed. So for me post-surgery, it was necessary. And then I learned too that you have to be careful with ice. Of course, stay away from the ulnar nerve. You don't want to over ice the nerves. Could cause nerve damage. And you don't want to ice more than 12 to 15 minutes because then your body actually treats it or goes into hypothermia and will actually heat the joint. So if you ever done that, where you've iced so long that you take it off and it's hot, it's because it took it as a threat of hypothermia. It got so cold and it sat for so long. So something 12 to 15 minutes is the best, and then get it off for 15 to 30, and then if you want to come back on, do it again for 12 to 15. I find it effective, and really what it helps to do is it helps to kind of shrink the capillaries in the area and move the blood out. And then, of course, once it heats up, new blood comes in. And that kind of stimulates the healing process because inflammation is really there to protect the tissue. And while it's being protected, it's not really allowed to heal as well. So you're kind of turning off the survival mechanism of, hey, it's okay, we don't need to protect it right now, let's start the healing process. So those studies that say there was a positive effect in icing for healing was that it stimulated the healing process. Doesn't mean you're not going to go into healing process. So if someone's saying, like, I remember Tim Lincecum for years said I never iced, well, that's fine. Then he's got a really good system to where it would not stay inflamed for a long period of time. It would probably quickly go into the healing process. But if you're a guy whose tissue inflames a lot, and there's a lot of chronic issues, genetic issues of people that inflame, then you're going to need something like ice to help reduce it. Now, I really stay away from anti-inflammatories. Studies show that they inhibit tissue repair and over time. So I really believe ice is the better way. If you were going to do something to kind of relieve the inflammation to start the healing process, I say icing is the best in my case. What about you, Kevin?
I like to use a couple different methods. I usually like to ice right after if possible, but I also like compression and I like isometrics because really it's about blood flow to get the recovery process going. So those three things all kind of help that. So I use all three of those techniques to just kind of force the blood flow in the area and get the recovery process going a little sooner. And something Brent said about the inflammation, one supplement I like to use that's natural is turmeric. So that'll help with some of your inflammation if you guys are looking for an alternate to maybe the ibuprofen or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and we even have, if you get my performance enhancement guide at topvelocity.net/free, I use a brand that has an actual natural inflammation supplement that uses turmeric and other herbs to have a natural effect on reducing inflammation. But like Kevin said, the old philosophy of rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation, they say is still a very effective approach. All right, that's a good question though. And if you would like to put your question on the next show, go to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, @topvelocity, hashtag pitching tips. Ask your question, and we're going to answer it on the next episode.
Play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard. hard, work hard, play hard.